Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Kyocera Scoop, our informative Kyocera-based podcast series. And today I'm joined by Andrew Smith, who is our Chief Information Security Officer, and we're here to talk about the things that matter most about cybersecurity. So thank you for joining, Andrew.
Thank you.
I've got a few questions for you that we've been asked to share and get your insights on. So the UK Government and Innovation and Technology Centre have recently stated that the UK is the third most cyber attacked country in the world, alarmingly. So what can businesses do to protect themselves from the cybercrime, which is ever evolving and becoming more sophisticated?
Yeah, it's a really good point, because I read lots of reports where, especially when you have heat maps, right? The UK, for a relatively small island, is always red hot. I wish it was our weather, actually, to be honest. But so to be clear, I think point number one is it has to be a board level agenda, right? It can't be an IT agenda that's run out the outside. So as long as the board are taking it as serious, then you can drive change within the organisation. Yeah. I think that's absolutely critical. I think the next really important point, and it's a term that I'm not sure everyone is a fay with as such, but it's cyber hygiene, right? So cyber hygiene is basically making sure that you dot your I's, across your T's, across the organisation. So when it comes to what many people would think is basics, but our system admins and our IT departments are flat out these days, right? So they don't get the time to make sure that the checks and balances are in place around them cyber hygiene matters. So I think that it's really important to have a good cyber hygiene program in place. And where the staff or your operation doesn't have the capacity to do so, I think it's important to leverage managed services, etc., to make sure that you have the governance and control around cyber hygiene. I think then it's really important then to move to aligning yourself with a really good framework, right? Whether that be the NIST framework or similar out there, to make sure that you're really just taking across the entire spectrum of protection for your organisation. And you can leverage managed services, MSSPs in the marketplace. But what's really important is the governance and control, so you understand what that service is delivering in the overall protection landscape for your business.
Okay, thank you.
Was that comprehensive?
Very clear, thank you. So the UK is one of the largest cloud adopting countries in Europe, and I think the market has a feeling that sometimes it may not be as safe in against cybercrime as on-premise. How does that land with you? Do you believe that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely not. Right. I think from that perspective, I think we live in a hybrid world. Okay, so I think more than ever we went through I would say mass adoption. I'm sure some statistics would tell us we're still going through that phase, but I think we live in a world where it is truly down to the business to select where they want to place their workload these days, whether that be public cloud, private cloud, or on-premise infrastructure in certain cases where that's appropriate. I think that the real challenge that most businesses are facing now is the fact that your traditional on-premise workloads, you've got your firewall, you've got your bricks and mortar, it's in your office, it's underneath your desk, let's hope not, it's in a nice server room in your office environment, compared to this public cloud environment where configuration could be somewhat more complex. The boundaries can be more grey in some areas. So what we're certainly seeing with our customers is a real strong focus around identity. So identity management across your workloads is critical. I think the other key point is configuration management. So there's lots of services and tool sets that you can use in this space, but it's mega important that customers are focusing around that configuration and identity part, right? Because that's where the weaknesses come in. Because cloud and public cloud, lots of innovation, lots of stuff coming through, that chance for misconfiguration and leaving yourself exposed is much greater. So I think that's where the thought process comes, because people have perhaps had exposure in the cloud, and quite often that's led by misconfiguration or weak identities, etc. And where I think that people just need to evolve their threat defenses for the new age of cloud.
So Andrew, our phone's on us now. We live in a world of pinging notifications, and the IDC estimate that a quarter of cybersecurity alerts that we receive are simply ignored. In fact, it's known as fatigue, right?
Yep.
PIN fatigue. So how are we broaching that and making sure that our customers are seeing the cybersecurity threats that are happening?
100%. And I think I can actually relate to this, right? Because we were only with a customer the other day that was saying, we've brought this fantastic EDR software. Big problem. My team haven't got any chance to look at it, right? And it's generating about 1,000 alerts a day, right? So I absolutely relate to this alert fatigue that you have. So I think I do agree. And we often talk to customers that have already made investment in some brilliant tool sets on the market. And let's say cybersecurity is big out there right now. So there's lots of tools, all promoting different things, lots promoting the use of AI and other technology to really help with that cyber defense. My view on that alert fatigue is it absolutely exists. And that's why certainly here at Kyocera, we take a slightly different approach. We absolutely still rely on our people, our intelligence in our security center. That's absolutely critical for us. But then we harness both automation and AI technology, as well as some custom built routines within our own organization to make sure that them skilled individuals are looking at the right things. And then when they see that, they can then look at more as they go into the investigation or whether they're hunting for certain things within a system. So I think that certainly my advice for customers and colleagues in this particular space is to really go, make sure that you fine-tuned your systems to the infrastructure and your IT landscape. So quite often people are putting these tools in without fine-tuning them. These tools are great if you tell them what they're actually looking at, right? Same as us humans, I think. And then I think secondly is if you don't have a cyber team internally, make sure that you pick your right MSSP or your service provider that understands your business, right? And doesn't try and do a one size fits all, because otherwise something that could be totally legit, even your service provider is then hitting you with even more alerts. So that's really important. And overall, I think that you can then achieve a system that hopefully has minimal alerts, but then are really focused alerts on things that you need to investigate.
Thank you, very clear. The National Cybersecurity Centre has flagged that AI will almost certainly increase the volume and if not heighten the ferocity of the attacks from cybercrime. So how can IT directors like yourself or companies responsible for cyber introduce AI to help combat the AI threat?
Yeah, and there's two different elements to what you're talking about there. So there's one, the malicious actors or hackers or whatever you want to call them are actually using AI in their trade, right? And let's be clear, they operate a business in their own right in terms of what they're doing in many cases. So we're seeing a massive increase in AI generated attacks, utilizing AI technology to whether that be in phishing or similar to really enhance the attack vector with our customers. So it's absolutely clear that the attackers are using new technology as it comes into the marketplace. And then in addition, you've then got the business side of how do you responsibly use AI? And I think that certainly when I speak to customers and when we've been speaking about it internally, the critical point that I try and focus on is the data. Okay, so when you utilize a lot of the open AI engines, etc., what people perhaps don't understand, unless you want to read 70 pages worth of terms and conditions, is that any data you put into that engine becomes public domain, right? It becomes public property. Anyone can access it. So when we talk to customers and even our own use of AI here at Kyocera, is that we focus on if we put that data into that engine to help with an operation, to help generate a result, where is that data residing? How is it being used? Is it sensitive information? And really focusing on that particular point. And I'm personally really pleased to see the commercialization of AI coming into the marketplace, whether you talk about the Microsoft or the Google models that are coming through, because that commercialization naturally means there's some legal terms and conditions around it. There are data models that focus on where your data is being placed, how that data is being placed. So I think this is going to evolve quickly. I think it's well rehearsed in the press that AI is a significant movement in the technology space. I think it's exciting. I think the true use of AI could really change this market, but I think people really have to focus on their data and where that data is,
right, and add that to their hygiene routine.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Andrew, according to the latest UK security breach survey, smaller businesses with smaller resources or less time, I suppose, don't see cybersecurity as such of a threat as big businesses. So what would be your advice to smaller businesses to change their security posture and strengthen it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, right? Because as a small business, you've got so much to look at, right? And cybersecurity can just be that thing on top. Yeah. And I, often when I speak to colleagues in the security space or in customers directly, I have heard quite a few times, well, why would we be a focus, right? So, why would an attacker be looking at us? We're not doing anything, of interest. And I think that the key thing is that it doesn't matter how small you are. I think there's some great stats around the amount of disruption to that smaller business in the marketplace. But I think the real struggle or focus for small businesses is to really make sure that you have an action plan or you have a framework or an approach that you're taking around your cybersecurity. So quite often, some of these smaller businesses are cloud first. They adopt purely cloud services. Sometimes there is a guy in the office that knows some IT and he's the one doing it, right, from that perspective. So I would really promote the use of the MSP or the service provider marketplace to buy select services that are proportionate with your operation, of course, right? So make sure you've got it set up secure from the outset. So make sure you're getting the right expertise to set that system up, right? So, because quite often I go back to some of the cyber hygiene pieces that I've said previously, in the fact that quite often it's configuration mistakes or uncovered hygiene routines that should have been running. Are you closing down accounts, etc., that people miss? So I would absolutely make sure it's set up right from the outset, and then try and utilize proportionate services from service providers in the marketplace, just to give you that level of protection across your system that is in line with your business activities, right? Yeah.
Thank you. And what would be their first step, would you advise, to start discovering their current posture or situation and how to move forward?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of MSSPs in the marketplace that would give them an audit, that would give them, all right, how are your systems set up, what services would you benefit from, and particularly if you buy into services, whether it be the Google platform or the Microsoft platform, Office 365, there are tons of changes every single month which really promote security and heighten security on the platform. But as a small business user, quite often you're not following that. You're too busy running your business, right? So there'll be a good, safe, trusted pair of hands that go, perhaps, periodically, look, let's turn these extra features on your platform. Let's make sure that you've got the most amount of security you have out the box, right? Yeah. And then can advise you otherwise. So I certainly would say, look, get an audit from one of your MSSPs, just get your current status, from that. If you have a relatively simple system, etc., then some MSPs can advise you straight off, right, in terms of what you should be looking at. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Thank you. And if you want any more information about the audits, if you follow the link below, you can see the audits that we offer here at Kyocera from the dedicated cyber team that we have. So Andrew, as the IT director of a 450 strong people company, the question I want to ask you is, what keeps you up at night at the moment?
Work related, I'm sure.
Work related,
yeah. Okay. So I think that from a cyber perspective, it would be absolutely wrong if I didn't say people, right? So, doesn't matter how many systems, processes, really smart guys I've got upstairs. I think absolutely our first, phase of defense is our users themselves, right? So something that we've been focusing on for a good couple of years, both for our customers and internally, is that whole education piece. So it's really, really critical for us that users understand what to look for, how to react, how to proportionately respond, right? Because otherwise, our security operation, they just get inundated with every email that they receive, right? But honestly, in today's day and age, they're not in the corporate building anymore. They're out there, they're signing in McDonald's, they're signing in airports. Yeah. And what we are really focusing on is making sure users really understand what safe practice is, right? So if you're in open Wi-Fi, make sure you're connected into us. Make sure that you're on VPN and connected into our space. If you're seeing something on email that doesn't quite look right, if you're getting a link that doesn't quite look right, just speak to the team. Don't be plugging removable devices in that you found on the train, right? So I think that it absolutely, without a doubt, I think, and this is quite often used, it's when, it's not if, right? Yeah. So we absolutely know, whether it be us or whether it be our customers, it is a when situation when it comes to cybersecurity. So what we're trying to do, and I've wrote about this previously, is one, make sure all our doors and windows are closed. That's really critical. But also make sure that our staff are aware of what to look for, right, and make sure that they're just on the same page with us.
That's an education.
100%. And I think that plays a really big part in cybersecurity these days, is that education part, and also getting the right balance. That IT techies would love to lock everything down. You wouldn't be able to go on an internet browser if it was down to a techie. So I think it's getting that right balance between protection in the configuration of how you build systems, but also educating users to make sure that they perform their roles in a safe way. And let's face it, as users, me being one as well, I'm a consumer of our systems. We all find ways to get around things because we've got to get the job done, haven't we, right? So it's making sure them boundaries are set, but also staff aren't just educated in understanding, seeing, but understand the reason why we're doing things and understand the result if something was to happen. And I think that really brings them on the journey.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.